I'd like to welcome everybody to Check Your Shelf. This is season 2. We're reading Catcher in the Rye. My name's Aaron. Some of y'all might know me by Gimme, but some of y'all might not know me at all. But I think it's really important that we know these books really intimately. So I'm gonna have to ask you to go check your shelf. What's up, all y'all beautiful young people? Welcome back. God, man, and I'm glad you're back too, man. The fact that y'all keep coming back really makes my moon red, as it were. I hope you were able to enjoy the experience that comes with the lunar eclipse, the darkness, the silence, perfect time for a little reflection. I hope you were able to give a little gratitude to Mother Nature and all the little movies that she decides to show us. And if you weren't, joke's on you, idiot. Fucking shouldn't have went to sleep, dummy. But we're not here to talk about the moon. We're here to talk about banned books. That's what we do on Check Your Shelf. When my listeners decided that we were going to read Catcher in the Rye by voting in the Discord or at facebook.com/groups/Check Your Shelf, I think you can also vote there. But when this book got voted in, we had to replace it, so we're replacing it with The Complete Mouse. It's a tale of a young man whose father is a Holocaust survivor. He wrote a book about his experience in the imagery of cats and mice, so it'd be a fun read. I've never read it before, but definitely going to be a page turner, and I'm looking forward to that. And if you want to hear that one, go ahead and vote too. Discord links up at the top right. Facebook group, I just said it. Memorize it. Get it tattooed on your forehead. But right now we're reading Catcher in the Rye, and we got up to chapter 12 last episode, so we knew that Holden was leaving Pensy a little bit early, but he didn't want to get in trouble, so he couldn't exactly go home. He decided to take a train into the city and catch a hotel. And on this train, he started hitting on this older lady who turned out to be a mother of one of the students at Pensy, and he just kind of decided to flex his lie muscle and see how much he could bullshit her. I don't remember if it was on the train, but he got introspective again. Something made him feel guilty or made him, miss his family, and he wanted to give his calls to his sister Phoebe, who he seems to love very much. Once arriving at the hotel, we got Holden the Peeping Tom creeping on people's windows. We got to see that nice description of what would be considered debauchery in the 1950s. And we got a couple contradicting sexual stories from Holden's past. Sometimes he's claimed his stake as sort of a woman's man and an expert, but then there's other times where it kind of seems like he doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's probably a virgin. But the sexual frustration eventually leads to a prostitution phone call, and we eventually get a little bit more on Jane and Holden's love story. Well, not a really love story, but the love that was lost. So, very fun-filled, action-packed, explosion-heavy episode. Let's go ahead and get into this new one. We're going to start it with a bang. Chapter 12, baby. Chapter 12. The cab I had was a real old one that smelled like someone just tossed his cookies in it. I always get those vomity kind of cabs if I go tossed. That's slang for throwing up, I think. Because now that I remember some shit like that from like Sandlot or something, I feel like I remember that. Oh, you're gonna make me toss. Yeah, I think I remember that. Anyway. I always get these vomity kind of cabs if I go anywhere late at night. And what made it worse, it was so quiet and lonesome out, even though it was a Saturday night. I didn't see hardly anybody on the street. Now and then you just saw a man and girl crossing a street with their arms around each other's waists and all, or a bunch of hoodlummy looking guys and their dates, all of them laughing like hyenas at something you could bet wasn't even funny. New York's terrible when somebody laughs on the street very late at night. You can hear it for miles. It makes you feel so lonesome and depressed. I kept wishing I could go home and shoot the bull for a while with old Phoebe, but finally, after I was riding a while, the cab driver and I sort of struck up a conversation. His name was Horvitz. Horvitz, I gewalt. He was a much better guy than the other driver I'd had. Anyway, I thought maybe he might know about the ducks. Hey Horvitz, I said, you ever pass by the lagoon in Central Park? Down by Central Park South? The what? The lagoon. That little lake, like there, where the ducks are, you know? Yeah, what about it? Well, you know the ducks that swim around in it in the springtime and all? Do you happen to know where they go in the wintertime, by any chance? Where who goes? The ducks. Do you know by any chance? I mean, does somebody come around in a truck or something and take them away, or do they fly away by themselves, go south or something? See, I knew he, because you don't just guess that shit. You don't just guess that's what happens. You have to know that. He knows this information. Why is he trying to, I wonder if I'm reading too much into it. Old Horvitz turned all the way around and looked at me. He was a very impatient type of guy. He wasn't a bad guy, though. How the hell should I know? He said. How the hell should I know a stupid thing like that? Well, don't get sore about it, I said. He was sore about it or something. Who's sore? Nobody's sore. I started having a conversation with him. If he was going to get so damn touchy I stopped having a conversation with him if he was going to get so damn touchy about it. But he started it up again himself. He turned all the way around again and said, the fish don't go no place. They stay right where they are, the fish. Right in the goddamn lake. The fish, that's different. The fish is different. I'm talking about the ducks, I said. What's so different about it? Nothing is different about it, Horvitz said. Everything he said, he sounded sore about something. It's tougher for the... Oh, I thought that was Holden. It's tougher for the fish, the winter and all, than it is for the ducks. For Christ's sake, use your head, for Christ's sake. I didn't say anything for about a minute. Then I said, all right, what do they do? The fish and all, when that whole little lake's a solid block of ice, people skating on it and all? Old Horvitz turned around again. What the hell you mean, what do? They stay right where they are, for Christ's sake. They just can't ignore the ice. They can't just ignore it. Who's ignoring it? Nobody's ignoring it. He got so damn excited and all, I was afraid he was going to drive the cab right into a lamppost or something. They live right on the goddamn ice. It's their nature, for Christ's sake. They get frozen right in one position for the whole winter. Yeah? What do they eat then? I mean, if they're frozen solid, they can't swim around looking for food and all. Their bodies, for Christ's sake. What's the matter with you? Their bodies take in nutrition and all right through the goddamn seaweed and crap that's in the ice. They got their pores open the whole time. That's their nature, for Christ's sake. You see what I mean? He turned way the hell around again to look at me. Oh, I said. I let it drop. I was afraid he was going to crack the damn taxi cab up or something. Besides, he was such a touchy guy. It wasn't any pleasure discussing anything with him. Would you care to stop off and have a drink with me somewhere? I said. So it wasn't any pleasure discussing anything with him, but then he's going to straight up just ask him if he wants to stop off and have a drink somewhere. I find that a little bit interesting. Some would say phony. He didn't answer me though. I guess he was still thinking. I asked him again though. He was a pretty good guy. Quite amusing and all. I ain't got no time for no liquor, bud. How the hell old are you anyways? Why ain't you at home in bed? I'm not tired. When I got out in front of Ernie's and paid the fare, old Horvitz brought up the fish again. He certainly had it on his mind. Listen, if you was a fish, Mother Nature'd take care of you, wouldn't she? Right? You don't think them fish just die when it gets to be winter, do you? No, but... You're goddamn right they don't, Horvitz said, and he drove off like a bat out of hell. He was about the touchiest guy I ever met. Everything you said made him sore. Even though it was so late, Old Ernie's was jam-packed. Mostly with prep school jerks and college jerks. Almost every damn school in the world gets out earlier for Christmas vacation than the schools I go to. You could hardly check your coat, it was so crowded. It was pretty quiet though because Ernie was playing the piano. It was supposed to be something holy, for God's sake, when he sat down at the piano. Nobody's that good. About 3 couples besides me were waiting for tables, and they were all shoving and standing on tiptoes to get a look at old Ernie while he played. He had a big damn mirror in front of the piano with this big spotlight on him so that everybody could watch his face while he played. You couldn't see his fingers while he played, just his big old face. Big deal. I'm not too sure what the name of the song he was playing was when I came in, but whatever it was, he was really stinking it up. He was putting all these dumb, show-offy ripples in the high notes and a lot of other very tricky stuff that gives me a pain in the ass. You should have heard the crowd though. When he was finished, you would have puked. They went mad. They were exactly the same morons that laugh like hyenas in the movies at stuff that isn't funny. I swear to God, if I were a piano player or an actor or something and all those dopes thought I was terrific, I would hate it. I wouldn't even want them to clap for me. People always clap for the wrong things. If I were a piano player, I'd play it in the goddamn closet. Anyway, when he was finished and everybody was clapping their heads off, old Ernie turned around on his stool and gave this very phony, humble bow, like as if he was a hell of a humble guy, besides being a terrific piano player. But it was very phony, him being such a big snob and all. In a funny way though, I felt sort of sorry for him when he was finished. I don't even think he knows anymore when he's playing right or not. It's not all his fault. I partly blame all those dopes that clap their head off. They'd foul up anybody if you gave them a chance. Anyway, it made me feel depressed and lousy again, so I damn near got my coat back and went back to the hotel, but it was too early and I didn't feel much like being all alone. Alright, so a couple things. Obviously, we've got to bump the phony counter up to 15. I think it's going to get in the 50s, man. What do y'all think this thing's going to hit? I think it might get in the 50s. We're at a pretty decent rate. Well, we're almost halfway through the book though. Maybe not. Maybe more like 40, 42. I think 42 is going to be my exact guess. 42. And secondly, I don't like this guy's treatment of old Ernie. I don't like the way Holden treats anybody who is a member of the arts. That's what I was going to say, but I don't think that's a real thing, but you get the idea. What do you say? Here. You couldn't see his fingers while he played, I'm not too sure what the name of the song was that he was playing when I came in, but whatever it was, he was really stinking it up. He was putting all these dumb show-offy ripples in the high notes and a lot of other very tricky stuff that gives me a pain in the ass. So Holden is not a piano player. He does not like the arts, but he apparently has enough piano knowledge to know that this stuff is very tricky, right? So if it's very tricky, he's recognizing the skill of being able to pull it off. But then he's also like Holden's just a hater, bro. Just a hater. And if you were a piano player, you would just play it in the closet. I don't believe that for a fucking second, dude. You secretly want people to eat you up. That's what I think. Quote me on that. I'm gonna ace the test, bro. They finally got me this stinking table right up against the wall and behind a goddamn post where you couldn't see anything. It was one of those tiny little tables that if the people at the next table don't get up to let you by, and they never do, the bastards, you practically have to climb your chair. I ordered a scotch and soda, which is my favorite drink, next to frozen daiquiris. If you were only around 6 years old, you could get liquor at Ernie's. The place was so dark and all, and besides, nobody cared how old you were. You could even be a dope fiend and nobody would care. I was surrounded by jerks. I'm not kidding. At this other tiny table right to my left, practically on top of me, there was this funny looking guy and this funny looking girl. They were around my age or maybe just a little older, but it was funny. You could see they were being careful as hell not to drink up the minimum too fast. You know, I'm not exactly sure what that means. But anyway, I listened to their conversation for a while because I didn't have anything else to do. He was telling her about some pro football game he'd seen that afternoon. He gave her every single goddamn play in the whole game. I'm not kidding. He was the most boring guy I'd ever listened to, and you could tell his date wasn't even interested in the goddamn game, but she was even funnier looking than he was, so I guess she had to listen. Real ugly girls have it tough. I feel so sorry for them sometimes. Sometimes I can't even look at them, especially if they're with some dopey guy that's telling them all about a goddamn football game. On my right, the conversation was even worse. On my right, there was this very Joel Yale looking guy in a gray flannel suit and one of those flitty looking Tattersall vests. I think that's worthy of a goog. Let's give that one a goog also. Oh, I can just leave the tab open. Nice. Alright, but then I can't read it, so gotta do the separate window there. Alright, so what are we talking about? Yeah. Flitty, first of all, is about to be the new slang. Flitty, unstable, fluttering, ostentatiously effeminate. And then, what the fuck else was it? A Tattersall vest? Ew. This guy. This fucking guy right here. I bet he has a curly mustache too. Disgusting. If you were only listening to the audio, you should go check out the YouTube because that would be a much better segment. Okay, love you, bye. All those Ivy League bastards look alike. My father wants me to go to Yale or maybe Princeton, but I swear I wouldn't go to one of those Ivy League colleges if I was dying, for God's sake. Anyway, this Joel Yale looking guy had a terrific looking girl with him. Boy, was she good looking, but you should have heard the conversation they were having. In the first place, they were both slightly crocked. Like cocked off to the side, maybe. In the first place, they were both slightly crocked. What was he doing? He was giving her a feel under the table and at the same time telling her all about some guy in his dorm that had eaten a whole bottle of aspirin and nearly committed suicide. His date kept saying to him, "How horrible. Don't, darling, please don't, not here." Imagine giving somebody a feel and telling them about a guy committing suicide at the same time. They killed me. Okay, JD Salinger, somebody needed to check on that man because the tiny little details that have no real bearing on the story are really some strange and dark stuff. I wonder if this is like a shock value. Like, is this like the Marilyn Manson of books in the 50s type shit? Like, what? He's just trying to be shocking, right? Like, oh, you know what would be like super edgy, dude? What if like you were fucking and talking about death? Wouldn't that be so edgy, dude? I think I hate JD Salinger more than I hate Holden. I certainly began to feel like a prize horse's ass, though, sitting there all by myself. There wasn't anything to do except smoke and drink. What I did do, though, I told the waiter to ask old Ernie if he'd care to join me for a drink. I told him to tell him I was DB's brother. I don't think he ever even gave him my message, though. Those bastards never give your message to anybody. All of a sudden, this girl came up to me and said, "Holden Caulfield." Her name was Lillian Simmons. My brother DB used to go around with her for a while. She had very big knockers. "Hi," I said. I tried to get up naturally, but it was some job getting up in a place like that. She had some Navy officer with her that looked like he had a poker up his ass. How marvelous to see you, old Lillian Simmons said, strictly a phony. How's your big brother? I don't know why. I think I started with this bitch being a fucking Southern belle, and then it just morphed to like this weird fucking caricature of like the queen from Alice in Wonderland type shit. But anyway, he's fine. He's in Hollywood. In Hollywood, how marvelous. What's he doing? I don't know. Writing? I said. I didn't feel like discussing it. You could tell she thought it was a big deal, his being in Hollywood. Most everybody does. Mostly people who never read any of his stories. It drives me crazy though. How exciting, old Lillian said. Then she introduced me to the Navy guy. His name was Commander Blop or something. He was one of those guys that think they're being a pansy if they don't break around 40 of your fingers when they shake hands with you. I will relate to Holden on that because I hate that shit too, bro. I'll straight curtsy in like a strong guy. Like I'll delicately take his hand as though he were a princess, and I will curtsy in front of that motherfucker, bro. Like I hate that I'm stronger than you handshake type shit, bro. Come and give me a hug if you gon' squeeze. Come give me a hug, pussy. God, I hate that stuff. Are you all alone, baby? Old Lillian asked me. She was blocking up the whole goddamn traffic in the aisle. You could tell she liked to block up a lot of the traffic. J.D. Salinger, okay, again, I know he's writing how Holden would tell the story. I get that there's layers, but I can't help but wonder if that's all just a fucking... I can't help but wonder if that's all just a lazy way to get a lot of words and thicken this book up. The waiter was waiting for her to move out of the way, but she didn't even notice him. It was funny. You could tell the waiter didn't like her much. You could tell even the Navy guy didn't like her much, even though he was dating her. And I didn't like her much. Nobody did. You had to feel sort of sorry for her in a way. Don't you have a date, baby? She asked me. I was standing up now, and she didn't even tell me to sit down. She was the type that keeps you standing up for hours. Isn't he handsome? She said to the Navy guy. Holden, you're getting handsomer by the minute. The Navy guy told her to come on. He told her they were blocking out the whole aisle. Holden, come join us, old Lillian said. Bring your drink. I was just leaving. I have to meet somebody. You could tell she was just trying to get in good with me so that I'd tell old DB about it. Well, you little so-and-so. All right for you. Tell your big brother I hate him when you see him. And she left. The Navy guy and I totally... excuse me, ribbity baby. Then she left. And the Navy guy and I told each other we were glad to have met each other, which always kills me. I'm always saying glad to have met you. There's somebody that I'm not glad at all I met. If you want to stay alive, you have to say that stuff though. After I told her I had to meet somebody, I didn't have any goddamn choice but to leave. I couldn't even stick around to hear old Ernie play something halfway decent, but I certainly wasn't going to sit down at a table with old Lillian Simmons and that Navy guy and be bored to death. So I left. And it made me mad though when I was getting my coat. People are always ruining things for you. No, they're not. You're ruining things for you, Holden. Fucking just say, no thank you, I'd like to be alone, and they'll be off on their merry way. But you have to keep up airs and act like this fucking little trench coat wearing fucking edgelord, dude. God, he annoys me. Chapter 13. I walked all the way back to the hotel. 41 gorgeous blocks. I didn't do it because I felt... I didn't do it... God damn it, I suck at this. I didn't do it because I felt like walking or anything. It was more because I didn't feel like getting in and out of another taxi cab. Sometimes you get tired of riding in taxi cabs the same way you get tired of riding in elevators. All of a sudden, you have to walk, no matter how far or how high up. When I was a kid, I used to walk all the way up to our apartment very frequently. 12 stories. You wouldn't have even known it had snowed at all. There was hardly any snow on the sidewalks, but it was freezing cold, and I took my red hunting hat out of my pocket and put it on. I didn't give a damn how I looked. I even put the ear laps down. I wished I knew who'd swiped my gloves at Pensy because my hands were freezing. Not that I've done much about it, even if I had known. I'm one of those very yellow guys. I try not to show it, but I am. For instance, if I'd found out at Pensy who'd stolen my gloves, I probably would have gone down to the crook's room and said, "Hey, okay, how about handing over those gloves?" Then the crook that had stolen them probably would have said, his voice very innocent and all, "What gloves?" Then what I probably would have done, I'd have gone in his closet and found the gloves somewhere, hidden in the goddamn galoshes or something, for instance. I'd have taken them out, showed them to the guy and said, "I suppose these are your goddamn gloves?" Then the crook probably would have given me this very phony, innocent look and said, "I never saw those gloves before in my life. If they're yours, take them. I don't want the goddamn things." Yeah, it's pretty phony. I've definitely ran into people like that before. Multiple times, and it's never nice. Then why can I say ribbity so easily, but I can't say probably, what the fuck? So stupid. Then I probably would have just stood there for about 5 minutes. I'd have the damn gloves right in my hand and all, but I'd feel I ought to sock the guy in the jaw or something. Break his goddamn jaw, only I wouldn't have the guts to do it. I'd just stand there trying to look tough. What I might do, I might say something very cutty and snotty to rile him up, instead of socking him in the jaw. Anyway, if I did say something very cutting and snotty, he'd probably get up and come over to me and say, "Listen, Caulfield, are you calling me a crook?" Then, instead of saying, "You goddamn right I am, you dirty crooked bastard," all I probably would have said would be, "All I know is my goddamn gloves were in your goddamn galoshes." Right away then, the guy would know for sure that I wasn't going to take a sock at him. He probably would have said, "Listen, get this straight, are you calling me a thief?" And then I probably would have said, "Nobody's calling anybody a thief. All I know is my gloves were in your goddamn galoshes." It could go on like that for hours. Finally though, I'd leave his room without even taking a sock at him. I'd probably go down to I had a little frog stuck in my throat, I think, but it's gone now. I'd probably go down to the can and sneak a cigarette and watch myself getting tough in the mirror. Anyway, that's what I thought about the whole way back to the hotel. It's no fun to be yellow. You know, listen, Holden, I gotta tell you something, man. I think we've all had conversations like this in our heads where we think about what we woulda, coulda, shoulda done, but you're a little bit obsessive, kid. You gotta do something about that. It's making me sad. It's no fun to be yellow. Maybe I'm not all yellow. I don't know. I think maybe I'm just partly yellow, and partly the type that doesn't give much of a damn if they lose their gloves. One of my troubles is I never care too much when I lose something. It used to drive my mother crazy when I was a kid. Some guys spend days looking for something that they lost. I never seem to have anything that if I lost I'd care too much. Maybe that's why I'm partly yellow. It's no excuse though, it really isn't. What you should be is not yellow at all. If you're supposed to sock somebody in the jaw, and you sort of feel like doing it, you should just do it. I'm just no good at it though. I'd rather push a guy out the window or chop his head off with an axe than sock him in the jaw. Good Lord, Holden, dude. You gotta get it together, man. That's tough, bro. Anyway, I hate fistfights. I don't mind getting hit so much, although I'm not crazy about it naturally, but what scares me most in a fist fight is the guy's face. I can't stand looking at that other guy's face is my trouble. It wouldn't be so bad if you could both be blindfolded or something. It's a funny kind of yellowness when you come to think about it, but it's yellowness alright. I'm not kidding myself. The more I thought about my gloves and my yellowness, the more depressed I got, and I decided while I was walking and all to stop off and have a drink somewhere. I'd only had 3 drinks at Ernie's and I didn't even finish the last one. One thing I have, it's a terrific capacity. I can drink all night and not even show it, if I'm in the mood. Once at the Wooten School, this other boy, Raymond Goldfarb, and I bought a pint of scotch and drank it in the chapel one Saturday night where nobody'd see us. He got stinking, but I hardly didn't even show it. I got very cool and nonchalant. I puked before I went to bed, but I didn't really have to. I forced myself. Anyway, before I got to the hotel, I started to go. Did y'all notice how phony? I'm trying to act it like I feel like Holden was being phony, so I tried to voice act it a little bit. You know what I mean? Like I tried to give him the the vocal inflection that he's lying to us, the person recording and listening to this story. Anyway, before I got to the hotel, I started to go down in this dumpy looking bar, but 2 guys came out drunk as hell and wanted to know where the subway was. One of them was this very Cuban looking guy, and he kept breathing his stinking breath in my face while I gave him directions. I ended up not even going in the damn bar, I just went back to the hotel. The whole lobby was empty. It smelled like 50 million dead cigars. 50 million? It really did. I wasn't sleepy or anything, but I was feeling sorta lousy. Depressed and all. I almost wished I was dead. Then, all of a sudden, I got in this big mess. The first thing, when I got in the elevator guy said to me, interested in, I'm an elevator guy. Interested in having a good time, fella? Or is it too late for you? How do you mean? I said. I didn't know what he was driving at or anything. Interested in a little tale tonight? Me? I said, which was a very dumb answer, but it's quite embarrassing when somebody comes right up and asks you a question like that. How old are you, Chief? The elevator guy said. Why? 22? Uh-huh. Well, how about it? You interested? $5 a throw, $15 the whole night. He looked at his wristwatch. Till noon. $5 a throw, $15 till noon. Okay, I said. It was against my principles and all, but I was feeling so depressed I didn't even think. That's the whole trouble. When you're feeling very depressed, you can't even think. Okay, what? A throw or till noon? I gotta know. Just a throw. Okay, what room you in? Okay, what room you in? I had a frog in my throat, I was about to cough, so I had to redo that one. I looked at, damn, go away. I looked at the red thing with my number on it, on my key. 1222, I said. I was already sort of sorry I'd let the thing start rolling, but it was too late now. Okay, I'll send a girl up in about 15 minutes. He opened the doors and I got out. Hey, is she good looking? I asked him. I don't want any old bag. No old bag. Don't worry about it, Chief. Who do I pay? Her. Let's go, Chief. He shut the doors practically right in my face. I went to my room and put some water on my hair, but you can't really comb a crew cut or anything, and then I tested to see if my breath stank from so many cigarettes and the scotch and sodas I drank at Ernie's. All you do is hold your hand under your mouth and blow your breath up towards the old nostrils. It didn't seem to stink much, but I brushed my teeth anyway. Then I put on another clean shirt. I know I didn't have to get all dolled up for a prostitute or anything, but it sort of gave me something to do. I was a little nervous. I was starting to feel pretty sexy and all, but I was a little nervous anyway. If you want to know the truth, I'm a virgin. I really am. I've had quite a few opportunities to lose my virginity and all, but I've never got around to it yet. I fucking told you, bro. Did I not say that in the intro? I had to record a couple intros because I fucked them up. But bro, I'm telling you, I knew that kid was a virgin, bro. I knew that shit. Something always happens, for instance. So he's talking about losing his virginity, remember? He never got around to it. Something always happens, for instance. If you're at a girl's house, her parents always come home at the wrong time, or you're afraid they will, or if you're in the back seat of somebody's car, there's always somebody's date in the front seat, some girl, I mean, that always wants to know what's going on all over the whole goddamn car. I mean, some girl in front keeps turning around to see what the hell's going on. Anyway, something always happens. I came quite close to doing it a couple times though. One time in particular, I remember. Something went wrong though. I don't even remember what anymore. The thing is, most of the time when you're coming pretty close to doing it with a girl that isn't a prostitute or anything, I mean, she keeps telling you to stop. The trouble with me is, I stop. Most guys don't. I can't help it. You never know when they really want you to stop, or whether they're just scared as hell, or whether they're just telling you to stop so that if you do go through with it, the blame will be on you, not them. Anyway, I keep stopping. The trouble is I get to feeling sorry for them. I mean, most girls are so dumb and all, after you neck them for a while, you can really watch them losing their brains. You take a girl and she's really passionate, she just hasn't got any brains, I don't know. They tell me to stop, so I stop. I always wish I hadn't after I take them home, but I keep doing it anyway. Alright, so, couple things. Knew he was a virgin, called that shit out, fire. Something always happening, some girl always peeking around to see what the hell's going on. That's really funny. I'm super into that, so that's funny. She keeps telling you to stop. The trouble with me is I stop, most guys don't. So even in the 50s, this sort of assaulty SA culture was really rampant, huh? You never know whether they really want you to stop, whether they're just scared as hell, or whether they're just telling you to stop so that if you do go through with it, the blame will be on you. Super interesting, fascinating, because that's like the exact opposite side of the Me Too movement, right? So like the whole believe all women thing is got a lot of controversy going behind it, because there's been at least a handful, if not a dozen or more cases where eventually the woman decides to admit that she was lying about the whole thing. I mean, some dudes got 20 years and then they got out innocent. So it's very interesting, very forward thinking. This book is obviously a little bit ahead of its time, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, while I was putting on another clean shirt, I sort of figured this was my big chance. I figured if she was a prostitute and all, I could get in some practice on her in case I ever get married or anything. I worry about that stuff sometimes. I read this book once at the Wooten School that had this very sophisticated, suave, sexy guy in it. Monsieur Blanchard was his name. I can still remember. It was a lousy book, but this Blanchard guy was pretty good. He had this big chateau and all on the Riviera in Europe, and all he did in his spare time was beat women off with a club. Interesting place for the line to jump to the next line right there. All he did in his spare time was beat women off with a club. He was a real rake and all. A real rake? Because he'd be raking it in, I guess. God, the slang in the 50s is also fascinating, man. I love that. He was a real rake and all, but he knocked women out. He said in this one part that a woman's body is like a violin and all, and that it takes a terrific musician to play it right. It was a very corny book, I realized that, but I couldn't get that violin stuff out of my mind anyway. That's why I sort of wanted to get some practice in case I ever get married. Caulfield and his magic violin. Boy, it's corny, I realize, but it isn't too corny. I wouldn't mind being pretty good at that stuff. Half the time, if you really want to know the truth, when I'm horsing around with a girl, I have a hell of a lot of trouble just finding what I'm looking for God's sake, if you know what I mean. Take this girl that I just missed having sexual intercourse with that I told you about. It took me about an hour just to get her goddamn brassiere off. By the time I did get it off, she was about ready to spit in my eye. Anyway, I kept walking around the room, waiting for this prostitute to show up. I kept hoping she'd be good looking. I didn't care too much though. I sort of just wanted to get it over with. Finally, somebody knocked on the door, and I went to open it. I had my suitcase right in the way, and I fell over it, damn near broke my knee. I always pick a gorgeous time to fall over a suitcase or something. When I opened the door, this prostitute was standing there. She had a polo coat on and no hat. She was sort of a blonde, but you could tell she dyed her hair. She wasn't any old bag, though. "How do you do?" I said, suave as hell, boy. "You the guy Maurice said?" she asked me. She didn't seem too goddamn friendly. I'm not gonna do that voice the whole time. Is he the elevator boy?" "Yeah," she said. "Oh, yeah, yes I am. Come in, won't you?" I said. I was getting more and more nonchalant as it went along. I really was. "I don't believe this. Holden is a liar. He's just saying this for the story." That's my favorite song. She came in and took her coat off right away and sort of chucked it on the bed. She had on a green dress underneath. Then she sort of sat down sideways on the chair that went with the desk in the room and started jiggling her foot up and down. She crossed her legs and started jiggling this one foot up and down. She was very nervous for a prostitute. She really was. I think it's because she was young as hell. She was around my age. I sat down in the big chair next to her and offered her a cigarette. "I don't smoke," she said. She had a tiny, weeny, whiny voice. You could hardly hear her. She never said thank you either when you offered her something. She just didn't know any better. "Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Jim Steele." "You got a watch on you?" she said. She didn't care what the hell my name was, naturally. "Hey, how old are you anyways?" "Me? 22. "Like fun you are." Well, that was a funny thing to say. It sounded like a real kid. You'd think a prostitute and all would say, "Like hell you are," or "cut the crap," instead of "like fun you are." "How old are you?" I asked her. "Old enough to know better." She was really witty. "You got a watch on you?" she asked me again. Then she stood up and pulled her dress over her head. Uh-oh. Boob alert. I certainly felt peculiar when she did that. I mean, she did it so sudden and all. I know you're supposed to feel pretty sexy when somebody gets up and pulls their dress over their head, but I didn't. Sexy was about the last thing I was feeling. I felt much more depressed than sexy. "You got a watch on you? Hey." No, I don't. Boy, I was feeling peculiar. "What's your name?" I asked her. All she had on was this pink slip. It was really quite embarrassing, it really was. "Sonny, let's go, hey." "Don't you feel like talking for a while? Are you in a very big hurry?" It was a very childish thing to say, but I was feeling so goddamn peculiar. She looked at me like I was a madman. "What the heck you want to talk about?" she said. I don't know. Nothing special. I just thought perhaps you might care to chat for a while." She sat down in the chair next to the desk again. She didn't like it though, you could tell. She started jiggling her foot again. Boy, was she a nervous girl. "Would you care for a cigarette now?" I said. I forgot she didn't smoke. I don't smoke. Listen, if you're gonna talk, do it. I got things to do." I couldn't think of anything to talk about though. I thought of asking her how she got to be a prostitute and all, but I was scared to ask her. She probably wouldn't have told me anyways. "You don't come from New York, do you?" I said finally. That's all I could think of. "Hollywood. she said. Then she got up and went over to where she'd put her dress down on the bed. You got a hanger? I don't want to get my dress all wrinkly. It's brand clean. Sure, I said right away. I was only too glad to get up and do something. I took her dress over to the closet and hung it up for her. It was funny. It made me feel sort of sad when I hung it up. I thought of her going to the store and buying it, and nobody in the store knowing she was a prostitute and all. The salesman probably just thought she was a regular girl when she bought it. It made me feel sad as hell, and I don't know why exactly. Well, first of all, sir, prostitutes are regular girls, and sex work is real work. You're a dumb face, man. Ha, got him. I sat down again and tried to keep the old conversation going. He was a lousy conversationalist. Do you work every night? I asked her. It sounded sort of awful after I'd said it. Yeah. He was walking all around the room. She picked up the menu off the desk and read it. What do you do during the day? She sort of shrugged her shoulders. She was pretty skinny. Sleep, go to the show. She put down the menu and looked at me. Let's go. Hey, I haven't got all... Look, I don't feel very much like myself tonight. I had a rough night, honest to God. I'll pay you and all, but do you mind very much if we don't do it? Do you mind very much? The trouble was, I just didn't want to do it. I felt more depressed than sexy, and if you want to know the truth, she was depressing. Her green dress hanging in the closet and all, and besides, I don't think I could ever do it with somebody that sits in a stupid movie all day long. I really don't think I could. I cannot stand this dude's fucking half-ass little bitch-ass excuses for him not being able to deliver. Like, that's all this shit is like you scared to deliver. You're trying to get, you're afraid to get everything that you say you desire because it's something that you don't actually desire. Like, you're being phony, Holden. You need to fucking quit that shit because you're making me very upset, young man. Sorry. I had to change positions while I was reading that or saying all that, so it probably got some squeaky chair business in there. But, God, that just rubs me the wrong way. What a phony. She came over to me with this funny look on her face, like as if she didn't believe me. What's the matter? She said. Nothing's the matter. Boy, was I getting nervous. The thing is, I had an operation very recently. Yeah? Where? On my what do you call it? My clavichord. Yeah? Where the hell's that? The clavichord? I said, well, it's actually in the spinal canal. I mean, it's quite a ways down in the spinal canal. Yeah? That's tough. Then she sat down on my goddamn lap. You're cute. She made me so nervous, I just kept lying my head off. I'm still recuperating, I told her. You look like a guy in the movies, you know. Who's this? You know who I mean. What the heck's his name? I don't know. She wouldn't get off my goddamn lap. Sure you know, he was that picture with Melvin Douglas. The one that was Melvin Douglas's kid brother that falls off his boat? You know who I mean. No I don't. I go to the movies as seldom as I can. Then she started getting funny. Crude and all. Oh, okay. So that was, they're getting sexy timed a little bit. Uh-oh, calm down. Do you mind cutting it out? I'm not in the mood. I just told you, I had an operation. She didn't get up from my lap or anything, but she gave me this terrifically dirty look. Listen, I was sleeping when that crazy Maurice woke me up. If you think I said I'd pay you for coming and all. Really, I will. I have plenty of dough. It's just that I'm practically just recovering from a very soon. What the heck did you tell Maurice you wanted a girl for then? If you just had a goddamn operation on your goddamn what do you call it, huh? I thought I'd be feeling a lot better than I do. I was just a little premature in my calculations. No kidding. I'm sorry. If you'll just get up a second, I'll get my wallet. I mean it. She was sore as hell, but she got up off my goddamn lap so that I could go over, get my wallet off the chiffonier, and I took out a $5 bill and handed it to her. Thanks a lot, I told her. Thanks a million. This is a 5. It costs 10. She was getting funny. You could tell. I was afraid something like that would happen. I really was. Maurice said 5. He said 15 till noon and only 5 for a throw. 10 for a throw. He said 5. I'm sorry. I really am, but that's all I'm gonna shell out. She sort of shrugged her shoulders the way she did before and said very cold, "Do you mind getting me my frock, or would it be too much trouble?" She was a pretty spooky kid. Even with that little bitty voice she had, it could sort of scare you a little bit. If she'd been a big old prostitute with a lot of makeup on her face and all, she wouldn't have been half as spooky. I went and got her dress for her. She put it on and all, then she picked up her polo coat. "So long, crumb bum." So long. I didn't thank her or anything. I'm glad I didn't. God, I feel like there's so much to dive into with that, man. What an outrageous fucking Jesus, man. What an outrageous situation. A big waste of $5 just to sit there with like this limp dick attitude. That's brutal, man. Also, that for sure would have been child porn, child rape, child whatever. Child abuse, pedophilia type shit. Like, they thought he was 22, but he wasn't. That shit's real weird, man. JD Salinger out here with the weird shit. With the real weird shit. You know, I'm starting to think they was like butt fucking in the 50s, bro. I bet they was freaks back then. I don't know. You think your grandma liked to lick your grandpa's ass? Chapter 14. After old Sonny was gone, I sat in the chair for a while and smoked a couple cigarettes. It was getting daylight outside. Boy, I felt miserable. I felt so depressed you can't imagine. What I did, I started talking sort of out loud to Allie. I do that sometimes when I get very depressed. I keep telling him to go home and get his bike and meet me in front of Bobby Fallon's house. Bobby Fallon used to live quite near us in Maine. This is years ago. Anyway, what had happened was, one day, Bobby and I were going over to Sedabago on our bikes, and we were going to take our lunches and all, and our BB guns. We were kids and all, and we thought we could go shoot something with our BB guns. Anyway, Allie heard us talking about it, and he wanted to go. I wouldn't let him. I told him he was only a child, so. And once in a while now, when I get very depressed, I keep saying, okay, go home, get your bike, meet me in front of Bobby's house, hurry up. It wasn't that I didn't used to take him with me whenever I went somewhere. I did, but that one day, I didn't. He didn't get sore about it. He never got sore about anything, but I keep thinking about it anyway when I get very depressed. Finally, though, I got undressed and I got in bed. I felt like praying or something when I was in bed, but I just couldn't do it. I can't always pray when I feel like it. In the first place, I'm sort of an atheist. I like Jesus and all, but I don't care too much for most of the other stuff in the Bible. Take the disciples, for instance. They annoy the hell out of me if you want to know the truth. They were all right after Jesus was dead and all, but while he was alive, they were about as much use to him as a hole in the head. Should have said in the hands. See, if you were a good writer, you would have said like a hole in the hands. Fuck you, JD Salinger. All they did was keep letting him down. I like almost anybody in the Bible better than the disciples. If you want to know the truth, the guy I like best in the Bible, next to Jesus, was that lunatic and all, that lived in the tombs and kept cutting himself with stones. I like him 10 times as much as the disciples, that poor bastard. I used to get in quite a few arguments about it when I was at the Wooten school. With this boy that lived down the corridor, Arthur Childs. Old Childs was a Quaker and all, so he read the Bible all the time. He was a very nice kid and I liked him, but I could never see eye to eye with him on a lot of stuff in the Bible, especially the disciples. He kept telling me if I didn't like the disciples, then I didn't like Jesus. He said that because Jesus picked the disciples, you're supposed to like them. I said, I know he picked them, but he picked them at random. He didn't have time to go around analyzing everybody. I said I wasn't blaming Jesus or anything. It wasn't his fault that he didn't have any time. I remember I asked old Childs if he thought Judas, the one that betrayed Jesus and all, went to hell after he committed suicide. Childs said certainly. That's exactly where I disagreed with him. I said I'd bet $1,000 that Jesus never sent old Judas to hell. I still would too if I had $1,000. I think any one of the disciples would have sent him to hell and all, and fast too, but I'll bet anything Jesus didn't do it. Old Child said the trouble with me was that I didn't go to church or anything. He was right about that in a way. I don't. In the first place, my parents are different religions, and all the children in our family are atheists. If you want to know the truth, I can't even stand ministers. The ones they've had at every school I've gone to, they all have these Holy Joe voices when they start giving their sermons. God, I hate that. I don't see why the hell they can't talk in their natural voice. They sound so phony when they talk. All right. Oh, what was that? Something fall? So, a couple things. Let's see how many times, if you want to know the truth, and there's, I thought there was two more, but I think I'm missing them. But anyways, I felt like I just read that shit 1,000 times and it was like really bothering me. I just wanted to start skipping it at some point. But this is kind of a fun, I also hate this and is one of the reasons why church annoyed me. They all start to talk in this Holy Joe voices. And now I depend on you to come to the light, and when Jesus takes the light to your face and you must do, anyway, I'm not great at it, but because I don't listen to it a lot like that, but yeah, very cool. And then we got another phony counter as well. I almost missed that one actually. Excuse me. Making sure I didn't miss any more in that paragraph. All right, we're right at an hour, so now that we're over the hour, we're gonna go ahead and make this the last chapter. I don't think there's very much left. It's a lot of dialogue. Yeah, we got about 3 pages left. Let's get through this so I can say goodbye and tuck you bad boys and girls into bed. Anyway, when I was in bed, I couldn't pray worth a damn. Every time I got started, I kept picturing old Sonny calling me a crumb bum. Finally, I sat up in bed and smoked another cigarette. It tasted lousy. I must have smoked around 2 packs since I left Pensy. All of a sudden, while I was laying there smoking, somebody knocked on the door. I kept hoping it wasn't my door they were knocking on, but I knew damn well it was. I don't know how I knew, but I knew. I knew who it was. I'm psychic. "Who's there?" I said. I was pretty scared. I'm very yellow about those things. They just knocked again, though, louder. I finally got out of bed with just my pajamas on and opened the door. I didn't even have to turn the light on in the room because it was already daylight. Old Sonny and Maurice, the pimpy elevator guy, were standing there. "What's the matter? What do you want?" Boy, my voice was shaking like hell. "Nothing much," old Maurice said. "Just $5. He did all the talking for the two of them. Old Sonny just stood there next to him, with her mouth open and all. "I paid her already. I gave her $5. Ask her." Boy, was my voice shaking. Literally, oh no, he said shaking like hell the first time, sorry. Boy, I think actually in chapter 1 or 2 he did say, but I do say boy a lot, so. It's $10, Chief. I told you that. $10 for a throw, $15 till noon. I told you that. You did not tell me that. You said $5 a throw. You said $15 till noon, all right, but I distinctly heard open up, Chief. What for? God, my old heart was damn near beating me out of the room. I wished I was dressed at least. It's terrible to be just in your pajamas when something like this happens. Let's go, Chief, old Maurice said. Then he gave me a big shove with his crummy hand. I damn near fell over on my can. He was a huge son of a bitch. The next thing I know, he and old Sonny were both in the room. They acted like they owned the damn place. Old Sonny sat down on the windowsill. Old Maurice sat down on the big chair and loosened his collar and all. He was wearing this elevator's operator's uniform. Boy, was I nervous. All right, Chief, let's have it. I gotta get back to work. I told you about 10 times. I don't owe you a cent. I already gave her the cut the crap. Now, let's have it. Why should I give her another $5? My voice was cracking all over the place. You're trying to chisel me. Old Maurice unbuttoned his whole uniform coat. All he had on underneath was a phony shirt. Uh-oh, got another one. We got another one. Was this a big 5-piece today? I think we got like 5 fucking phony counters today, man. That's crazy. All he had on underneath was a phony shirt collar, but no shirt or anything. He had a big, fat, hairy stomach. Nobody's trying to chisel nobody. Let's have it, Chief. Oh, wait, what the fuck? Yeah, you're trying to chisel me, so yeah, nobody's trying to chisel nobody. Let's have it, Chief. No. When I said that, he got up from his chair and started walking towards me and all. He looked like he was very, very tired or very, very bored. God, I was scared. I just sort of had my arms folded. I remember. It wouldn't have been so bad, I don't think, if I just hadn't had my goddamn pajamas on. Let's have it, Chief. He came right up to where I was standing. That's all he could say. Let's have it, Chief. He was a real moron. No. Chief, you're gonna force me into roughing you up a little bit. I don't want to do it, but that's the way it looks. You owe us $5. I don't owe you $5. If you rough me up, I'll yell like hell. I'll wake up everybody in the hotel, the police and all. My voice was shaking like a bastard. Go ahead. Yell your goddamn head off. Fine. Want your parents to know you spent the night with a whore? High-class kid like you? He was pretty sharp in his crummy way, he really was. Leave me alone. If you had said 10, it would be different, but you distinctly, are you gonna let us have it? He had me right up against the door. He was almost standing on top of me, his crummy old hairy stomach and all. Leave me alone, get the hell out of my room. Still had my arms folded and all. God, what a jerk I was. Nah, I think you're justified here, Holden. And this one this one instance where I think you're right. Then Sonny said something for the first time. Hey, Maurice, you want me to get his wallet? It's right on the whatchamacallit. Yeah, get it. Leave my wallet alone. I already got it, Sonny said. She waved $5 at me. See? All I'm taking is the 5 you owe me. I'm no crook. All of a sudden, I started to cry. I'd give anything if I hadn't, but I did. No, you're no crooks. You're just stealing 5. Shut up, old Maurice said, and he gave me a shove. Leave him alone. Hey, come on, hey. We got the dough he owes us. Let's go. Come on, hey. I'm coming. But he didn't. I mean it, Maurice. Hey, leave him alone. Who's hurting anybody? He said, innocent as hell. Then what he did, he snapped his finger very hard on my pajamas. I won't tell you where he snapped it, but it hurt like hell. I told him he was a goddamn dirty moron. What's that? He put his hand behind his ear like a deaf guy. What's that? What am I? I was still sort of crying. I was so damn mad and nervous and all. "You're a dirty moron," I said. "You're a stupid, chiseling moron, and in about 2 years, you'll be one of those scraggy guys that come up to you on the street and ask you for a dime for some coffee, and you'll have snot all over your dirty, filthy overcoat, and you'll..." Then he smacked me. I didn't even try to get out of the way or duck or anything. All I felt was this terrific punch in my stomach. I wasn't knocked out or anything though, because I remember looking up from the floor and seeing them both go out the door and shut it. Then I stayed on the floor a fairly long time, sort of the way I did with Stradlater, only this time I thought I was dying. I really did. I thought I was drowning or something. The trouble was I could hardly breathe. When I did finally get up, I had to walk to the bathroom all doubled up and holding onto my stomach and all. But I'm crazy. I swear I am. About halfway to the bathroom, I sort of started pretending I had a bullet in my guts. Old Maurice had plugged me. Now I was on the way to the bathroom to get a good shot of bourbon or something to steady my nerves. Help me really go into action. I pictured myself coming out of the goddamn bathroom, dressed and all, with my automatic in my pocket, and staggering around a little bit. Then I'd walk downstairs instead of using the elevator. I'd hold onto the banister and all with this blood trickling out of the side of my mouth a little at a time. What I'd do? I'd walk down a few floors, holding onto my guts, blood leaking all over the place. Then I'd ring the elevator bell. As soon as old Maurice opened the doors, he'd see me with the automatic in my hand, and he'd start screaming at me in this very high-pitched, yellow-belly voice to leave him alone. But I'd plug him anyway. 6 shots right through his fat, hairy belly. Then I'd throw my automatic down the elevator shaft after I'd wiped all the fingerprints and all. Then I'd crawl back to my room, call up Jane, and have her come over and bandage up my guts. I pictured her holding a cigarette for me to smoke while I was bleeding and all. The goddamn movies, they can ruin you. I'm not kidding. I stayed in the bathroom for about an hour, taking a bath and all. Then I got back in bed. It took me quite a while to get to sleep. I wasn't even tired, but finally I did. What I really felt like though was committing suicide. I felt like jumping out the window. I probably would have done it too if I'd been sure somebody would cover me up as soon as I'd landed. I didn't want a bunch of stupid rubbernecks looking at me when I was all gory. This kid loves to use that little scapegoat, don't he? He loves to use that sort of... You know, if only there would be that one person that would come by and cover me up and I could guarantee that I knew that, then I would totally jump out the window right now. I swear to God. But he is right. The goddamn movies can ruin you. And this kid, I think this kid is not only fucking he's got some real school shooter energies to me too, huh? Can't close. Limp dick energy with a prostitute. Be fighting Stradlater over a girl who he hasn't seen or talked to in mad long. And now this. Oh, my guts. 6 shots through his fat, hairy belly. I don't know, man. But yeah, I don't know, man. This Holden guy, he's something else. He's, I'm hoping the best for him, but it's not looking great. We're about exactly halfway through the book, so, you know. If you feel like participating in the conversation and having a chit chat, you know, the Facebook group is wide open. You can hop in the Discord. My inbox is wide open. Holler at your boy. I'm really glad you guys made it to the end. Like always, it blows my mind if you made it the whole hour and change. But I'm just grateful you clicked in the first place. So thanks for giving me your time. Thanks for giving me your attention. Thanks for letting me distract you from work or whatever might have been bothering you for just an hour. I really appreciate it. I love you all. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.